Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're dissecting the official court minutes of a massive, multi-year real estate lawsuit to show you what actually happens before, during, and long after a trial finally ends. We are looking at the case of Tapestry on Central LLC versus Tapestry on Central Condominium Association. By digging straight into the dockets of Honorable Judge David M. Talamonte in Maricopa County Superior Court, we're getting a front-row seat to the sheer, exhausting stamina required to navigate high-stakes civil litigation.
Now, you might think $1 million verdict means you're walking out of the courthouse and getting a giant check the very next day. But, as we're going to see in this totally fascinating case, winning a trial is, quite literally, only half the battle. We always see those flashy news headlines about massive jury awards, right? But the actual mechanics of keeping a case alive just to see that trial, and then the absolute grind of fighting to collect the money afterward, that is a hidden world of intense strategic maneuvering.
So we'll be breaking this down chronologically, starting with the 2016 pre-trial skirmishes, moving into the 2017 trial and verdict, and wrapping up with the 2018 bond battle.
Phase 1. Pre-trial battles and motions. Okay, let's set the scene. It's May 2016, and our source documents take us straight into Maricopa County Superior Court. Both sides are already heavily engaged in pre-trial combat. Look, neither side really wants to leave things to the unpredictable nature of a jury, so the attorneys are frantically trying to dismantle the opposing side's claims before a trial date is even firmly set. To do this, both sides start lobbing what are called motions for summary judgment at each other. If you're not familiar, a motion for summary judgment is essentially telling the judge, hey, look, even if everything the other side says is true, the law is still completely on our side, so please just dismiss this whole thing right now. They're desperately trying to get these claims thrown out early.
So the judge steps in to narrow the battlefield, and he hands out partial victories to both sides. The LLC successfully defends its claims regarding property liens and common area repairs, which means those survive for trial. But the association scores some major hits of their own. They get an alleged breach of an oral contract completely tossed out, and they successfully block older claims because, well, the statute of limitations had simply expired. The chessboard is set, but the real drama is just getting started.
Phase 2. The expert witness dispute. Fast forward to early 2017. We are just months before trial, and the LLC hits a massive case-threatening snag. They lost their original damages expert and had to disclose a totally new one, a guy named Randall P. Clemson, at the absolute last minute. The defense immediately pounces on this. They file a motion in limine, which is a pretrial motion used to completely block Mr. Clemson from testifying. And here's the thing. Without a financial damages expert, the LLC's chance of proving $1 million loss to a jury basically drops to zero.
This sparks a fierce standoff. Imagine being the association here. You get formal notice of this brand new financial expert on the exact day of the discovery deadline in January 2016. They argue this is completely unfair and prejudices their defense. But the LLC counters, claiming it was just a miscommunication. They actually point out to the court that they had filed a motion requesting an extension way back in November 2015 to give everyone a heads up. Judge Talamonte carefully reviews this entire timeline and ultimately sides with the LLC. Looking at the record, the judge notes that the earlier November 2015 motion for an extension was the deciding factor. He officially finds good cause for the late switch, allowing Mr. Clemson to testify. That single ruling is huge. It breathes life right back into the plaintiff's case and keeps their hopes alive for proving those massive financial damages for the upcoming August trial.
All right, jump ahead through the summer to September 1st, 2017. After 9 days of a grueling trial and multiple clarifying questions sent to the judge during deliberations, the jury finally returns to the courtroom, and notably, the official record reflects that their verdict is not unanimous.
Phase 3. The $1 million verdict.
This exact moment brilliantly illustrates just how wild and unpredictable a trial can be when both sides have really strong arguments. On one hand, the jury finds in favor of the association's counterclaim, awarding them roughly $156,000. But then, boom, the jury drops a hammer. They turn around and award the LLC a massive $1.19 million for a breach of the implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing.
It's a staggering contrast, isn't it? You can practically feel the shock in the courtroom as these wildly different numbers are read aloud by the clerk. The LLC secured their $1 million victory. Now, for most people, following a case in the news, this is usually where the story ends. The gavel bangs, and we go home. But in the actual legal world, a judgment is literally just a piece of paper until you can enforce it.
Phase 4. Fighting over the bond.
Welcome to 2018. The association obviously doesn't just hand over $1 million check, they appeal the decision. But the LLC is absolutely not waiting around. The court dockets suddenly show outside entities like Western Alliance Bank, BBVA, and Liberty Insurance getting dragged into complex garnishment hearings. The LLC wants their money right now, and they are aggressively hunting through the association's accounts to get it.
So to stop the LLC from freezing their bank accounts and seizing their assets during this long appeals process, the association has to post what's called a supersedious bond. Basically, it's a massive financial guarantee to the court. But figuring out exactly how much that bond should be, well, that leads to a totally separate, massive evidentiary hearing over what the association can actually afford to pay.
In April 2018, the gloves come completely off again. The LLC aggressively accuses the association of intentionally blowing money on unlicensed contractors specifically to avoid paying the judgment. They demand the judge set the bond at the full $1 million. The association fires back, warning that a massive bond will cause severe economic harm to the residents and dangerously delay crucial monsoon season repairs to the building.
The judge listens to all this witness testimony, cuts right through the dramatic arguments, and rejects both extremes. He finds that the LLC failed to prove the association is intentionally dissipating assets. But he also finds the association failed to prove by clear and convincing evidence that a bond would cause them substantial economic hardship. So, what does he do? He relies on a strict mathematical formula based on the association's proven net worth, which he establishes at $1,028,795.
Following statutory guidelines, the judge sets the final supersedious bond at exactly 50% of that net worth. That comes out to $514,397.50. He orders the association to post this money through a third party within a month. Just take a second and think about the reality of that. The association has to scrape together over $500,000 in cash just to maintain the right to fight the verdict on appeal.
This Tapestry on Central case proves that civil litigation really isn't just about who is right on the facts. It is an exhausting, multi-year marathon of strategy, procedural rules, and deep, deep financial endurance. The initial conflict, the pretrial maneuvers, the trial itself, and then the post-trial collection efforts, they are all entirely different battlefields that demand immense resources.
So the next time you see a flashy headline pop up about a multi-million-dollar verdict, maybe look a little closer. Ask yourself, after years of appeals, bonds, and garnishment hearings, who is actually going to be holding the check when the legal dust finally settles? Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.